Hey, what's going on guys, Chris here, and today I'll be giving you the ins and outs of the AUG A3 assault rifle that came out with the Betrayal expansion in Battlefield Hardline. So the AUG is an Austrian bullpup rifle originally designed in the late 70s, and it's been used by armed forces all around the world, from Argentina, Australia, New Zealand and the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which has since been replaced by the Colt M4. The A3 variant, which is a fairly popular one in Battlefield games, was made in 2004. It's a newer, improved, modern version with a few modifications such as a rail on top of the receiver. The A3 is capable of fitting optics and attachments to it, making it a better one to bring along to the Battlefield games with all those flashy customization options. And so the A3 makes its way back into the series once again in Hardline. So being an assault rifle, you're only going to be able to use it on an operator loadout, but it's a little bit more flexible than some of the other weapons, as you can apply the gun to either a cop or criminal loadout. But before you do just that, you're going to need to lay down a total of $48,000. Anyway, let's go over the weapon's positives first. One factor that gives the AUG a bit of an edge is its high muzzle velocity. Its bullets are going to fly at a velocity of 670 meters per second, which is quicker than all of the other assault rifles in the game. This pretty much means that the time it takes for your bullets to reach a target is cut down a bit, making it easier to track your enemies and hit anyone running off into the distance. The AUG's damage rate is another thing that's a bit higher than the average hardline assault rifle too. It's got a maximum damage of 25 up to 8 meters, with a minimum of 18 beyond 55 meters, meaning you'll be able to drop someone with full health in just 4 bullets up close. But after 8 meters, the gun's going to deal less damage, and it'll take 5 bullets up to 41 meters. And any further away from this, and you're going to need that extra 6th bullet to kill. It's not exactly a heavy hitting weapon like the MDC or AKM, but it's higher than most of the others and shouldn't require as many bullets to kill. Now, as far as most of the other stats go, it's pretty standard in terms of what it can do when compared with the other assault rifles. Its recoil pattern isn't too bad, but it still jumps around a fair bit without attachments on. With a vertical kick of 0.46, a leftwards kick of 0.35, and a rightwards kick of 0.2, the A3 will bounce around in a fairly random pattern, though it's probably going to mainly drift up and to the left as you hold down that trigger. Firing at a speed of 700 RPM, this also puts the AUG in the middle too, with its rate of fire, as it's not quite as speedy as the FAMAS and the F2000, but it's also not as sluggish as the ARM or RPK. 700 RPM is on the slower end of the spectrum, but it's still quick enough to face off against a lot of the other guns in the game, and as long as your accuracy is on point, you should win some of those firefights. I can't really say anything too bad about the weapon though in terms of its positives and negatives. Although its positive factors aren't all that brilliant, the AUG A3 doesn't really do anything that's much worse than the other operator rifles. It's fairly average in most aspects, though I do have to point out that its iron sights are pretty crappy. And without attachments, it's not a very easy gun to kill with when you've just started to use it, with the combination of a fairly inconsistent recoil pattern and bad iron sights. But speaking of attachments, I might as well go over those next. So as for your barrel attachment, the muzzle brake is a clear winner for most people, as it's not only going to reduce your horizontal recoil by half, dropping that high leftwards figure of 0.35 to about 0.17, but it'll also lower that vertical recoil too by 18%, making the gun easier to use at range. And as long as you're firing bursts when taking on anyone over long distances, it should seem a lot better. Plus there's no penalty here either, like there is with the compensator. The heavy barrel isn't a bad option either, but you'll probably have to stick on that vertical grip too to counter the movement penalty, or you'll just have to stand still when firing to get the most out of the attachment. Because the bullet velocity is so high though, the suppressor might be an okay option too, if you like to be a bit stealthier when you play, as it's not going to drop the velocity down quite as much as a lot of the other operator guns. Though most of you will probably find that the stubby grip is better suited for the AUG, with it reducing that spread increase per shot by 50% from 0.2 to just 0.1. And this is going to group those shots closer together in full auto fire, ultimately making the weapon more accurate. So to summarise, the AUG A3 is a fairly basic assault rifle, but it does have a few nice qualities about it that make it worth picking over some of the others. Probably the biggest factor is its high bullet velocity, helping out in those longer distance shootouts. Its damage rate is not bad either, but most of its other factors are fairly standard and aren't really anything to go crazy about. Its recoil can sometimes feel a little bit dramatic, but in comparison to the other assault rifles, it's not terrible and can be improved a lot with those attachments. The A3 doesn't really do anything too badly, and overall comes across as a fairly well-rounded weapon. So that's the end of this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a like if you did. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do that too, to see a bunch of other guides, reviews and gaming goodness. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.